Hello, I'm HG Judah, and welcome to a live stream. Whilst I await arrivals, as it's an impromptu live stream, some poetry for you. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will resist looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it, or fade it, or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes, without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another. To be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation or betrayal, and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. Yes, Bernie Kennedy, we are live, and therefore you can pose your questions to me. Come and don't be shy. Yes, Joseph Istvarnum, I can see you there, along with the others that are lurking in the wings. How's life? Tickety boo. Thank you for your kind inquiry. Let's have the questions then and make use of this impromptu live stream. Hello, Rebecca. Thank you for joining me. Question from Amy Williams. HG, if the ex-narc has a new IPPS and he expects you to give her a warning of some sort, but he gets absolutely nothing but tumbleweed, how long will it take for him to be wounded? It's unlikely that he would necessarily expect you to provide a warning to the new IPPS. Your failure to do so wouldn't wound him because, in effect, he doesn't want you around because you're the former IPPS. In fact, you remaining quiet is what the narcissist would want. If you make an appearance, you'll threaten control. So it isn't the case that you failing to warn the other individual would wound the narcissist. Bernie Kennedy. That end to the empath video, you sounded empath hungry. Which one are you referring to, Bernie? Which empath video? I'm always hungry for empaths. I like to feast on them. I like to snack on them. Joseph, how do I know if I am a narcissist? Well, the simple fact of asking the question invariably tells you that you're not. And if you want to understand more in that regard, Joseph, I'd invite you to listen to the video, which is Am I a Narcissist? Which you'll find on my channel, which you'll be able to listen to and help you establish. But essentially, it will enable you. You've watched all the videos. Well, you need to go back and watch them again, Joseph, because you evidently didn't pay attention. Oh, but you still feel unsure. Okay. It's almost like I'm having a conversation with you here. And you're welcome. In terms of being unsure about it, put yourself through the empath detector. That'll tell you what you are, or arrange to speak to me in audio consultation and we can discuss it further. Some people have done that where they're uncertain. Hello, Bianca Mayer. Thank you for joining me. Amy back with another question. Thank you, Amy. HG, in the prison population, it's very common for inmates to turn to religion, change their religion, or become very religious. Can you explain what this really is? Yes, it's called trying to get parole, isn't it? By looking as if religion has found them or they found religion, it enables them to try and demonstrate to the prison authorities that they have turned a corner, that they have somehow become a reformed character. And it's all about essentially putting forward a facade for the purposes of ensuring that essentially parole could be obtained. In some instances, there will be individuals that find God, and they do so in a meaningful way. But more usually, it's self-serving. Remembering much of the prison population is populated by narcissistic people, and mainly normals. And they will ultimately be more self-serving. Normals are. They have to be. They have to have a relatively high degree of selfishness in order to get through life. Biddy MC coming at you. If you think your mother is a narcissist, how do you handle that you are in charge of her finances in regards of no contact? Go no contact, spend the bitch's dosh, live it large. What's not to like about the scenario you've got there? Put her on starvation rations, spunk all the money on flash clothing, snort copious amounts of cocaine, buy yourself some wheels, get them absolutely pimped up, and you can have a great time going no contact while she's eating stale crusts and drinking tepid water. Amy Williams tells me that she loves me. Thank you, Amy. Good to be in receipt of your love. Hello, Sol. Hello again. Anna Sophia Torres. Hi, HG. I hope that you are having a great night. Is there any way that empaths can stop attracting narcissists, become attracted to them? You can't stop attracting us, but you can become what I call a flawed reason to extract emotion, free. And that's by utilizing my material that's set out in the knowledge vault to reduce your attraction because you become more difficult to control through essentially implementing a no contact regime more readily. Link 35. No need to say it twice, or maybe you are so good that you've named yourself twice. Hi, HG. Hello, Link 35. Have you run into that rival narc businessman lately? No, I haven't. I have been about other matters, primarily lurking underground. But no doubt our paths will cross in the not too distant future. And if you remind me of that, I will say. Kingston, plus his extra time out of the cell. Good point. Kingston, is that coming from experience? Is that the voice of experience that you found God in order to spend time away from Big Dave, who said, let's play mummies and daddies. I'll be mummy in the prison cell. Incarnated love. Does the narcissist fear himself? No. Does the ultra? No. Easy ones there. Thank you. Lilith of Daydream. Cool. Alive. You're not wrong. Yukibachi, have you ever had a brain scan? Was there anything unusual in comparison to the average brain? No, I have not. I might do so, but I don't need to. My brain's beautiful, functions magnificently. Bernie Kennedy, HG is in full throttle tonight, indeed. Biddy Mc, God, I wish I had no conscience. Conscious. You mean conscience? God, I wish I had no. Well, you're addressing the right person by starting with God, I suppose. I wish I had no conscious. Well, I'm pleased that you're conscious, otherwise you wouldn't be able to interact with me. Rosalie, hi HG, are you going to give us a David Attenborough experience on Amber Heard during trial? And now we see the Depp on the stand, giving his evidence in a calm, collected fashion. Meanwhile, over on the side, we see the Heard tossing her mane, irritated, distracted by the Depp's behaviors. He has escaped her. for now. Is that what you're looking for? I'm rather busy at the moment with a variety of things, and I'm fortunate that something that I had planned to do this evening didn't take place, and comms have improved. So we shouldn't have any Dalek-like voices or any metallics. Be good if you could confirm that's the case. It'd be a pleasure if you could confirm in the comments that your glorious narrator stentorian tones are crikey sharp in your ears. That would be helpful to know. But returning to your question about if I'm going to do David Attenborough with regard to the Depp Heard trial, I will be commenting on it further. As you know, I did start the analysis of Amber Heard, and as a combination of some other commitments that I had and thinking, let's see what else transpires, I thought I would park it and then revisit it. Of course, I will deal with Depp also. I have dipped in and out of it, but because I'm a very busy man, I don't have the opportunity to have it on a live feed all day while scratching my balls and eating Doritos. Bernie Kennedy, love more on the cookie jar. Well, Bernie, have you read any of my books? There's more material there about my childhood and earlier experiences. You'll find that interesting. Patricia Sands, I'll go back a bit. Lone Star 0123, how do narcissists experience psychedelics? Well, I remember taking some magic mushrooms, and it was a number of years ago, and it was during the winter, and it was with my intimate partner, primary source at the time, and her friend, who was of a German extraction. He was British, and he was gay. And what was interesting about her friend was that whenever he'd turn up, he'd be like, "Ooh, HG, look at you," in the lisping effect that would be adopted by some homosexual men. I found it quite tiresome. He was an educated and very interesting individual who'd slept with a lot of famous people, so he always had some salacious gossip to provide, which my IPPS revelled in. And I found it mildly interesting also. But after a day in his company, he would then speak quite normally, and I took him to task about this. And I said, "Look, if you would speak normally from the very beginning, I'd find it much more accommodating than this silly act that you put on." And he shrugged and he said, "I just feel safer when I do that." Anyway, that was a Ronnie Corbett digression, and he brought the magic mushrooms. So I allowed him to put them into some kind of black currant drink, if I recall correctly. And I observed carefully, and we dived in. And it was quite interesting just watching the flames as they mutated into different shapes and colors. And then all of a sudden you snap out of it and talk, and then I found I would sort of drift off staring at something. And we'd created an environment. He was evidently a skilled practitioner at taking these things, of basically creating a room which was unaffected by the outside world. So curtains closed, there's an open fire that was on, lights dimmed, and so forth. I remember looking into the mirror and watching my features change, which was rather entertaining. So, but I didn't find any sudden spiritual enlightenment, if that's what you're driving at. So that didn't actually occur. Denise Hyman, if the narc keeps hoovering, would it be a good idea to unblock and tell him that if he continues to get a restraining order? No. Now, first of all, how do you know he's keep hoovering if you've blocked him? You shouldn't be monitoring this. You should have a total no contact regime, and you shouldn't even know that he's hoovering. So I'd be interested to know how you know that he's hoovering, which suggests that your no contact regime is not as tight as it ought to be. And furthermore, you should not, under any circumstances, unblock. Indeed, if you're talking about your telephone, you should have changed your number. Eleanor, hi HG. I must go back to my narc mum's house tomorrow to retrieve some important papers. When I arrive, she may refuse to give it to me. How can I make her give it to me anyway? Punch her in the throat as she's there choking for breath, snatch the papers and run. That's one way of dealing with it. The other is that you will have to make a request of her. And you could try and distract her in some way so that you can grab the papers. I suppose some of it depends upon how old is she. Can you move faster than her? Because, and I don't say this jokingly, it might simply be a case of trying to outmaneuver her physically to get hold of them and then legging it, as it is said. Amy Williams again. HG, if I wrote in a court statement that was read aloud in court by his solicitor stating his positive drug testing results numerous times, would that result in challenge fuel? It's challenge fuel because there's emotion. It's being spoken about. Is he life? HG, would an empath block a narcissist if he feels angry in the moment after being accused of sexual harassment by his ex-girlfriend for literally nothing with no valid reason, or is this narc behavior? The one-off behavior could go either way. We need to look at more instances of the behavior, put this person through a narc detector. That's the most appropriate thing to do. Bernie Kennedy, do they ghastly Americans get our humor? Well, first of all, if you're going to insult people, you can at least spell the word correctly. And Americans aren't ghastly. Some of them are, in the way that some Brits are ghastly and some French people are. Stacey L, hope you're going to do a video on detecting that a narcissist may also have psychopathic traits. I might do. Lilith of Daydream, hi HG, what's your favorite kind of food? I've answered this before, grilled or toasted empath. Lilith of Daydream, yes, no, exterminator voice. Thank you for confirming that. I am pleased about that being the case. And what do we have here? Jay Harrison sounds good, does it now? Rebecca, all complaining people about the mic. You sound perfect as always. Well, of course I do. But it has to be said that there were comms problems before. So, as a consequence of that, I understand why people got a little bit exasperated with it, but nothing could be done. Therefore, to continue to complain about it is rather annoying and irritating. Quack Control, hi from Massachusetts. If a narcissist states things in a video that they have access to, why do they feel they can revise history if it is there for everyone to see, including themselves? Fair question. When it's in a video, and then when they need, or rather the narcissism causes the revision of history, well, in those circumstances, what happens is the video is forgotten about. And if the video is then presented to the narcissist, then the narcissist might say, for instance, that isn't me in the video. Believe me, I've witnessed that. And I've had people in consultation who've confirmed that's something that a narcissist said. The first line of the narcissistic defense, which is denial, of course. In other instances, it might be, why are you filming me? That's really creepy. You're always trying to control me. I'm not tolerating this. So it becomes about your behavior rather than that of what's contained within the filming. Remember, what you're doing is you're looking at it from your point of view. You're thinking, if it was me, I wouldn't deny something that's in a video. That's preposterous. But that's you. The narcissist is governed by his narcissism, which omits the existence of the video. And then when it is put in place, then the narcissist will deal with it accordingly if it amounts to a threat to control in the way that I've described, either with the first line of the twin lines of the narcissistic defense. If that's broken through, for instance, it might be a case of the narcissism essentially thinks, shit, can't maintain the denial, and then instead goes on to use an alternative response, which is, by way of example, saying, why have you been filming me? That's not recognizing boundaries. I'm sick of you always trying to control me, etc. Bianca Mayer, HG, will you make an analysis, I think you mean, from Harry's new book, memoirs, very good. I might do, although it won't be very long, really. And I suppose I might have a little bit of difficulty conveying the sentiment of potato prints and a sort of scribbled purple cloud as the crayon has gone round and round and round. Jenny Roy, very beautiful tones, HG, I'm obliged. Kingston, why do you hate celebrities? I don't. I hate everybody equally, you should know that by now. Rabel, how do you know about emotional thinking if you're a narcissist? How did I know that the Battle of Hastings took place in 1066? I read about it and gained knowledge that way. I observe, I listen, I witness the behavior of empathic individuals and see the absence of logic and see how they're governed by their emotions. I hear what they say, I watch what they do. And that's how I formulated this concept of emotional thinking. You don't have to experience it yourself to know all about it. Go and ask a doctor who's an expert on a particular disease and ask him, has he actually had that disease? Chances are he'll say no, but he knows it inside out. Why? He's studied it, he's watched people with it, he's treated people with it. So it's in the same vein. Lee Maritime 777. How would you diagnose Johnny and Amber? Johnny seems like a drug, pill, and alcohol addict, but we'd love just an initial viewpoint for this trial. Well, you might have caught what I'd said earlier on, that I've paused my analysis pending the trial, and we'll probably revisit it in due course. Anna Sophia Torres. HG, you sound like Benedict Cumberbatch a bit, and you remind me of him in his role of Khan. Yes, I've had that said before, but I am not him. We all know that I'm Hugh Grant. Lilith of Daydream, you love Blackcurrant. You're a Ribena fan, are you? Good for you. Mystic, hello HG. Did you consider to analyze the personality of deceased famous? Some of those are covered in the famous narcissist things that you can find in the knowledge vaults. So remember, when people ask me, and it's very good that they take an interest in putting people under the tutoscope, but it does take me a lot of time and effort to do the research properly. And I know people are enthused and say, HG, do this person, do that person, but it takes me hours to do it. And I have to weigh up getting the requisite amount of views with it to make it worthwhile. And sometimes the number of views aren't actually worthwhile in terms of the effort that's gone into it, which pisses me off, quite simply. In other instances, it does. And that's why, for instance, with subjects like Harry's wife, although I find her boring, lots of people are interested in her, which extends reach. Similarly, with the whole Oscar slap and Jada Pinkett Smith, many people are interested in that. So I utilized it. It's interesting, actually, because Donald Trump's an excellent example and provides many opportunities, but not that many people were actually interested in the narcissist side of him, which is showed with the number of views that have taken place with relevant videos about him. So I appreciate that people have their own individual desires for me to tackle certain subjects, but I have to look at it in terms of overall popularity, given the amount of work that goes into it. Of course, if you'd like to make a healthy donation to the coffers of the Ultra to enable him to remain with a very good dirts collection, then so much the better. And it's always appreciated. But also, if you'd like to find out about certain narcissists and empaths, you can use either the Narc Hunter, where you put 20 names forward, and I'll tell you if that person is a narcissist, yay or nay. If you want to go deeper, you can use Know the Narcissist, where you put 10 names forward, and if they are a narcissist, I'll tell you School and Cadra. And Show Me the Empath, where, again, you put forward 10 names, and if I determine that they're an empath, I'll tell you School and Cadra. Many people use those. They're excellent. You'll find them in the Knowledge Vault. Dentrichibus. I thought it was sexy time. Instead, yeah, it's ultra time. Definitely much better. Ooh, yeah. Let's all get down and strip to our smalls. Let's all just get a little more comfortable with one another. It's ultra time. Kingston, do narcissists have a jump reflex? Do you mean a startle reflex? Yes, they do. Denise Hyman, he dropped off stuff at my house. Good. Patricia Sands, how long is your golden period time on average? Do you mean with me? It varies. It's in accordance, anything between 6 to 18 months, as I've explained elsewhere. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Susan B, if Johnny Depp wins this trial, how do you predict Amber might respond? And she'll appeal. Eamon Blue, do you think Elon Musk is a narcissist? Use Know the Narcissist from the Knowledge Vault. Rosalie, how does an empath seduce a fellow empath? Any tips? Well, what you could do is ordinarily put some very pleasant fragrance behind your ears, but what tends to work better is putting your ankles there instead. Lone Star 0, 1, 2, 3. How can you distinguish between complex post-traumatic stress disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and borderline personality disorder? Well, first of all, dealing with BPD first. Listen to the video, The Borderline, where we can essentially get rid of BPD because many of those people are either narcissists or they have CTPSD or CPTSD. Now, it's all about looking at the behaviors over a particular period of time to make the assessment. That's what's behind it, to determine, do we see emotional empathy being exhibited or do we not? I, as a skilled practitioner, the expert in all of this, can look at this over a period of time. You may struggle with that, but that's what you have to do. You have to look at the behavior over a sustained period of time and look for the red flags and the black flags. That's set out in my books of those names. Or easier, you come to me and I'll help you. Is leave. Thank you for your answer. I'll make sure to get the narc detector ASAP. HG approves. Bernie Kennedy, HG only. School no. British humour is delightfully sardonic. I lived in Bath as a child. Did you now? Beautiful place. I lived about 45 minutes away from there not so long ago. Very pleasant place indeed. Bernie Kennedy says the French are worse, that look of sheer bafflement. What do you mean? The hon. Sarah Balcom, evening HG and all. Good evening to you. Let me scroll back, see if I've missed anything here. Schoolmole of HGT's voice, thank you. Quack Control, no, thank you. Lilith of Daydream, HG, do you get thought fuel when you listen to music? Yes, if it reminds me of a particular person or particular circumstances. So, for example, if I think of Stuck in the Middle of You and the time that I tortured an IPPS, I get a little dollop of thought fuel. Happy days indeed. Bianca Mayer, Elon Musk has Asperger's. Well, Bianca throwing her hat in the ring on that. Tina Stiles, HG, have you got any more interviews lined up with other content creators? I am being interviewed by Doug, good old Doug, my buddy in Hollywood. That takes place next month, so we've already got that in the diary. I've got a couple of other people that are wanting to conduct interviews. I did a couple recently, actually, for other channels. They seem to have omitted to send me the links for me to tell you all about it. One was dealing with a couple of quite feisty nurses that had their own show. Something Renegade something or other, I think it was called. But they're always coming through. So if that's what you're referring to by content creators, there is Doug and there's a couple of other individuals in the pipeline. Amy Williams, would you do a Tupac analysis, please? Maybe. Chris, Boozy Breath. Hi, HG. Those awful words that Harry spoke in yesterday's interview. Is he needed to check the Queen was being properly protected? Do you think they came from his wife? I would direct you to listen to Harry's wife, part 95.15, as I've commented on that very matter only a few hours ago. Ileana, HG, did you see the recent videos from Thomas Markle's YouTube channel? No, I don't watch anybody else's material. I haven't the time nor the inclination. But if there is something specific that you want to bring to my attention, then you can always email me about it. Lilith of Daydream, the observations you talk about sound like a predator observing its prey, like a wolf in sheep's clothing. You don't say. Who'd have thought it, huh? Who'd have thought that that would be the case? Eleanor, the empath grenades video was great. Will you do more like this? Possibly. Kimber, is it true the Smiths are divorcing? What? Morrissey and Johnny Marr aren't together anymore? What a dark day it is indeed. Let's motor forward a little bit here. My Toby Tobster, rather. Would you consider doing a review of the Trump peers interview, which was cut short with a walkout? Possibly. Good again. Example of when narcs collide, of course, and ignited fury. So I might do that. Again, I have a lot pressing at the time being, so if time allows, I will do it. Rosalie, my guess is Johnny is an empath and Amber is a somatic upper mid-ranger. Okay, you've been following and that's your view. Thank you for sharing it. We will find out in due course whether you are correct. Kimber, I feel like Amber is going to burn Johnny to the ground. I think he should have cut his losses. She has nothing to lose since her fans have turned on her too. Have they been turning on her? I do see generally that most people are team Johnny, which isn't a difficult decision to make, really, is it? I mean, why on earth would you want to hang out with somebody or support somebody who is alleged to have shat in the bed? Blaming it on the dog as well. Pfft. Typical blame shifting, isn't it? Orinoco Wellington. What a fantastic name that is. Good evening, and welcome to Fireside Chats with me, Orinoco Wellington. I was only thinking the other day, when I was salmon fishing, of that time when I found myself in the canyon in Upper Bongo Land. And there, It was a testing time indeed. I only had 3 bullets left in my trusty rifle, but I faced 50 as the enemy. I considered that one of the options available to me was to shoot myself in the head before they got hold of me and tickled me to death, but instead I sat them down and said, "Before we fight, let me tell you about the time that I was a member of Jacob's Club." And with that, they were enthralled, and peace broke out. I'm Orinoco Wellington. Thank you for joining me for a fireside discussion. I might create a new channel actually now with Orinoco Wellington and his off the cuff anecdotes of spurious provenance. Kimber, thank you, HG, for your triangulation video. I don't think that gets explained enough. I agree, and I'm pleased that you found it useful. If you want to show your appreciation to me, you can show super thanks by hitting the button at the bottom and sending a bit of monetary love HG's way in order to ensure that he lays his hands on his dirts on a regular basis. He gets very thirsty doing this, you know. Amy Williams, HG, I can't wait to get paid to do an arc detector. Jolly good. I look forward to processing it for you and bringing enlightenment to you. Bernie Kennedy, I would love to know more on the criminal side, narcissist murderers, etc. That sexy talk I spat out my tea. Don't spit out your tea. That's rather uncouth. Clean it up this instance. Schoolmo, HGT needs to do 50 Shades reading. No, he fucking does not. I'm not going anywhere near that absolute abomination of literature. Skylark, hello. Thank you for joining us. Vatorius, would you consider doing an ultra model for psychopathy, sociopathy? It would be amazing. We'd all love it. There are some works that are going to be doing the comparisons between psychopathy, narcissistic psychopathy, and the narcissist, which you'll find useful. That'll be finding its way into the knowledge vault. And I'd encourage you also, if you haven't, to join my new offering, which you'll find in Patreon, which takes you to a different aspect of who I am, probably leaning more towards my psychopathy, but it also explains and provides you with a glimpse inside the world away from what I do blog-wise, taking you more into personal aspects of my life and what I do professionally. Of course, I'm not going to completely spill the beans and go, yep, I'm an ice cream man, and here I am offering out 99s to school children outside the gates of St. Saviour's in Barnstaple. But it does give you a somewhat cryptic but interesting glimpse, and you're able to offer your thoughts and observations about what you see. There are already 3 intriguing videos there that show you more about my world, and I'd invite you to get stuck into all of that. There'll be more videos to follow in that respect, and that's different from channel membership. The channel membership, you'll still continue to receive exclusive videos, discounts, etc. There will be planned, when I know that I can rely on the comms situation, a members only live stream, and that will be set up in advance so people know it's going to happen. And so that'll be quite an intimate affair, I should imagine, so you can fill your boots in that regard. Biddy Mc, what advice would you give if someone actually turned out to be a narcissist doing your detector? Has this ever happened, or most of us here empaths? No, I can tell when somebody has submitted the information that they're most likely to be the narcissist. I can't say with certainty, but what I am able to do is determine that the person that they're complaining about, in effect, isn't a narcissist. I'll tell them as such. But there's no point me telling them that they are a narcissist. It's pointless, because invariably they're unaware and they're not going to accept it. So all that I do is I professionally complete the narc detector. Remember, there can be instances where 2 narcs collide, but what can happen is that I see through what the narcissist is doing, because the quality of the evidence isn't good enough to make a determination that that person is a narcissist. And so I will tell them as such. But the answer is no, they're not, and I'll explain why. I don't just throw it back at them. They are given a proper explanation. That's why the narc detector is so rigorous and thorough. I don't give confirmation that somebody is a narcissist like throwing around confetti at a wedding. Rosalie, HG, I used to be a gymnast. Are you still flexible? If so, narcissist1909@gmail.com, and we'll find out. Dendritibus, which fragrance for men would HG recommend? Well, it's got to be Creed, hasn't it? Creed Aventus, Creed Viking. Go for those. Skylark, HG, does the empath detector consultation show whether someone is an ACON as part of the results of the EDC? No, it does not. Jocko's Inklings. Hello, Jocko. HG, I'd love to see a whole schematic matrix like Socionics does when one type collides, intersects, entangles, and mirrors each other. Good call. I, of course, started that process, and it's something that needs to be finished, where all the various subschools go against one another, and you can see that. So that's quite a body of work, but yes, I will look to do that at some juncture. Tina Stiles, thank you very much for your kind donation. I do appreciate that. Rest of you, do feel free to put your short arms in your deep pockets and show a bit of love for the Ultra. Tina asks me, did you ever watch Killing Eve? I did. I started watching the first series a number of years ago. You love the first two series, not so much the last two. Well, I only watched, I think, maybe 4 or 5 episodes, I think. The main character, is it Villeneuve or something like that? I forget her name. Something like that, isn't it? Reasonably good portrayal of a psychopath, actually. I remember, for instance, the where she sat in the cafe and she's watching the child and isn't quite sure how to react, and then provides the imitation game learned response, and then, of course, knocks over the ice cream or knocks it into the child's face, if my memory serves me correctly, on the way out. Remember, of course, you're dealing with television. Therefore, it's not going to be a completely faithful representation of what's occurring. It's done in a way which has to entertain. So there is some license that's taken with it. But it was fairly good. My problem with it was that I found Sandra Oh an awful actress. And I just couldn't keep watching it because of that. And notwithstanding the obvious talents of, is it Jodie Cromer, who did very well in the role. And it was certainly intriguing to begin with and interesting. Sandra Oh just really put me off. She wound me up, so I couldn't keep watching. Instead, I went off and found something else to look at. Now, where are we? Jocko's Inklings. What happens if middle-range narcs are each other's primaries? Well, you'll have to wait for when I do the Narcissist Collide on that one, because it will be too detailed to go into in this session. But it will be done at some point, Jocko, so you can rest easy on that point. Mia White, how do you remain anonymous in your everyday life with your very distinct voice? Well, basically, in my everyday life, I adopt the voice of Joe Pasquale and speak in a high-pitched, squeaky voice so that these stentorian tones aren't picked up upon. That's how I do. Pat Ann, hi HG, I agree. The Patreon stuff is interesting and intriguing, trying to work you out. Thank you for doing so. I encourage other people to embrace it also. JAT, what a treat to catch HG live. Fucking well is, isn't it? Joseph, HG, you have exactly 100,000 subs shown. I know. Go me. And I'm waiting for my Silver Creators Award. YouTube have confirmed that I've hit the threshold. Now they're probably trying to look at ways to deny me it because they like being twats to me. But I'll get there one way or the other. And when it does arrive, you will all see it. I will do a video showing it off. Because after all, I am a narcissistic psychopath, aren't I? Perhaps I will show it off as I beat somebody's head in with it. Perhaps I'll go and find James Corden, and I'll go and find old Fat Chops there and issue a bit of summary justice. That'll be quite satisfying, and you can see the Ultra staving his head in with my Creators Award. What a rewarding experience that would be. Only joking, James. You know I'm going to get you in your sleep. Now, what else? Here comes the knitting droid. Beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Glad to catch you live, HG. Yes, what are you knitting at the moment? Winter's almost over if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, so I suppose jumpers and scarves and such like. Perhaps a knitted bikini, though you can't go in the sea because the fucking thing would fall apart, I should imagine. So perhaps knitting droid, you will let me know. And talking of which, Psychic Empath, where are you? Hang on a second. I'm going to put my fingers to my temples, see if I can use my contagion element. Oh, I haven't fucking got one, so that's no good. I'll just have to rely on the fact that my inner darkness will draw the Psychic Empath to us in due course. Unless the psychic empath, of course, is reading palms on the promenade at Blackpool. Kingston, do you have Machiavellian traits, HG? I do. Yes, that's part of my status as an ultra. Graters also have them as well. It's one of the determining factors for an individual to be found to be a greater. Somebody's just used the S word. Joey always. Hey, HG, am I good? Oh, such a bad word to use. It's fuel. It's fuel. You love Jesus. Well, that's good for you. But if you're going to have to be good fuel for me, you're going to have to love me and not just Jesus. JAT, HG, I'm loving the 100,000 interviews. Are they available for purchase on your site or Amazon? Well, they're all on YouTube and you can listen to them for free. So because I'm so bloody generous to you all, I haven't put them in a position. But if you'd like to be able to purchase them, I'm not sure why. Maybe you want to be able to stare at the various ladies that have appeared in it. There'll be more of these to come. I'm taking a slight break from them, but more will come, sharing their experiences. If you haven't accessed them, you really ought to, because they've been extremely well received by people who've been very interested in the experiences and recollections of those who I've helped. And certainly many people have found them suitably inspiring. Carrie, thank you, HG. You have saved my life. You're most welcome. Lilith of Daydream, HG, do you still start fires? I certainly do. Bianca Mayer, I don't like Creed Viking. Well, I don't give a rat's ass about that. But you think Creed Aventurine is accepted. Ooh, thank you, O Queen of Perfumes. Darla Zizra, can my son, 23, who is showing narcissistic tendencies, be made aware of his actions and be healed? We need to determine, is he a narcissist or are they just narcissistic traits? If they're just narcissistic traits, then the behaviors can be altered. If he's a narcissist, it's too late. Shishi, HG, how did you find Dexter? I've only watched a very small part of that. Amusingly enough, an IPPS once said, what do you think about this guy? And I watched a little bit of it and I said, fascinating. A psychopath that does good. Who would think of that? She looked at me quizzically and then I walked away. Bianca Mayer, has YouTube your address, HG? It has the address of a gatekeeper. Doesn't have the address for Tudor Towers. Seymour Truth, great name there. Where's Orinoco gone? Orinoco, have I upset you by commandeering your name with some character trait acquisition? Or perhaps you were so overcome with excitement at me utilizing your name that you fainted and you're now lying face down beside the fireplace, slightly drooling onto the carpet. Lilith of Daydream, if you beat Corden's head in with a silver play button, that will literally be art. Fucking A, it will be. DF, education and humor cannot beat it, I agree. Knitting droid. Beep, bloop, beep, bloop, beep. I am knitting a cricket sweater for myself. Do you know something? I don't like cricket. Oh no. I love it. Yes, I am very good left arm spin. How about that? Or how's that? Do you see what I did there? Who's the cricket? So the cricket sweater's for yourself. So you play, or do you just like to wear them when you go and watch the cricket and you have your cucumber sandwiches and your ginger beer? Tell me more. Knitting droid. Yukibachi, can a normal empath have a high executive function as a psychopath? Yes. Obviously not behave like a psychopath, but can have a higher executive function. Chris Boozy Beth, have you ever met James Corden? Yes. Why do you hate the fat gobshite? Does that really need to be answered? Look at him. Schoolmo, use an ice prick instead of the award. Indeed, let the evidence melt away. Sarah Balcom, undoubtedly James Corden, arsehole, is my favourite roasting. Sweet as Perfection has retracted 2 of her messages. Clearly she's come over all unnecessary at that point. HG asks Sophia Elliott, do you have any productivity tips? Your output is amazing. Yes, don't waste time sleeping. I remember times when I've been on a train in the middle of the afternoon and I look around and I see people, they are asleep. And I think to myself, you could be doing things. You could be considering what your next move is in some situation. You could be jotting down ideas for writing a book or sorting out something that you need to do when you get home. You could be thinking of that next big idea, but instead, there they are, asleep. They will sleep again in the evening when they go home. So I would always think such a waste of time doing that. So, of course, sleep is important as the foundation of all success, and you will need more than I do. But in terms of productivity, it's very much about recognizing when you're able to do something and when you can't and moving on from it, and not allowing your emotions to govern your decision making. So much time is wasted by people lamenting the fact they can't do something. That is idiocy. Too often getting annoyed about certain things. An initial annoyed reaction is fair enough. I get furious about things, but I soon dampen it down and move on very quickly indeed, rather than continue to stay stuck in a moment that's not productive. It's about being organized. Delegation is key to it also. And it's about ensuring that you identify people who are a drain on your time and you jettison them accordingly, preferably by taking them down to the dungeon. So there's a handful of tips there. Bianca Mayer, HG, you must read The Ghost Perfumer. This book destroyed the label creed totally. Very interesting. Something smells a bit off about that. Biddy McSee, thanks, HG, for answering my question. Love your interviews with Doug. You really shine when engaging with others. Indeed, and I have a good rapport with Doug. Joy always, okay, let's meet so I can fall in love. You've already fallen in love, so we've done that bit. There you are, you see, I've achieved that without having to meet you. How about that for efficiency? Sophia Elliott, note that in terms of productivity. May Joy always fall in love with me without meeting her. Schoolmo, I found listening to HG oddly comforting, as my dad would share his social dynamic theories with me as much as he does his behavior analysis. How interesting. Rosalie, is the adoring look of an infatuated mid-range a good fuel? If it's proximate, it is. It's a large amount of fuel, as you should know by now by following my work. Also, it depends where they fit in. And if they're a secondary source or a primary source, then in those circumstances, of course, their potency is much higher. Due to Duna Poker, Isa, 3 years without narcs in my life. I owe so much to your work. Very well done. And you're welcome. Sue Erting, perhaps someone has already said this, but I'm listening to Johnny Depp's testimony with a whole new appreciation. Amber's narcissistic behavior certainly shows up in his descriptions. I've seen it repeatedly in comments on my various videos, Sue, with people saying, I now understand so much more watching this trial with regard to the work of HG. Absolutely. Get me nominated for that Nobel Prize. Jason, would a middle mid-range A posing as a manifestation coach make up their success stories to control their viewership? Absolutely correct. Fav, thank you, HG. You, Vam Saknin, don't know who that is, and Gitchard Rannan, no idea who that is either, have saved my life. The other two individuals sound fairly tertiary. So really, all you need to do is say, thank you, HG, you saved my life. We're good as far as that goes. Bernie Kennedy, HG, have you ever found yourself entangled with a person that goes through consultation? I don't understand what you mean. Have I ended up entangled with somebody that I've consulted with? Is that what you mean? If so, the answer is no. Isleaf, HGT mate, do some stand-up comedy. I'm sitting down at the moment, but if you want me to stand while I talk to you all, I could do that. You have an amazing sense of humor. Indeed, I do. It's a weapon, you see. I use it to draw people in, assert control, and draw fuel from them. Orinoco, thank you for making yourself well known. This is Orinoco Wellington, everybody. Orinoco Wellington is going to help me with regard to a series of fireside stories. You'll hear the crackling of the wood. There'll be the flames, the orange and the yellow, going up in the fireplace, creating a gentle tapestry to which you would almost feel slightly dozy. You'd feel safe whilst listening. It would take you back to those moments of being in your pram in nursery, out having a bottle of milk or a full titty of milk and feeling content, warm and safe. We're going to go for that similar feeling, one that I've heard other people talk about, one, of course, that was denied to me for obvious reasons. But that's by the by. But Orinoco Wellington is going to become the alter ego of H.G. Tudor in terms of providing fireside conversations about acts of daring do of dubious provenance. Thank you for letting me know that you have not collapsed by your own fireplace, Orinoco. It's good to know. Seymour Truth, thank you. No, thank you, Seymour Truth. You'd pay, would you, for the stand-up comedy show? Well, show your fucking appreciation now by making a donation. Come on. Don't give it all this narcissistic, oh, I would pay. Don't future fake me, you rascal. Put your hand in your pocket. Anyway, moving on. Where are we? Orinoco Wellington, it was lovely hearing my name in your dulcet tones. Did you find yourself getting aroused? That's the next question. Knitting droid, boop, 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 boop. I've never seen a cricket game or played it in my life. You charlatan! You're knitting a cricket sweater, yet you've never watched the game of cricket or played it in your life. Lilith of Daydream. HG, do you like rugby? Yes, I can watch it. Rosalie HG, when are you putting Dr. Plagiarizer under the Tudor scope? It's tempting, isn't it? JAT, thank you for your donation. Much appreciated. That bottle of dirt is coming closer to Papa. But returning, Dr. Plagiarizer. We're quite entertaining. What I'm thinking of doing is that at a suitable point, I'm going to out these channels, including Dr. Plagiarizer. I'm going to take the ones which are run by unaware narcissists, mainly mid-range, a few lessers drawn in there, and with the evidence, as always, not just spurious allegations, I don't do that, but going to the evidence of their behavior to point out to people, you're dealing with a narcissist. I regularly get people emailing me about certain channels, and certain names keep cropping up. So I think I will investigate them in due course, but there's other more pressing matters than giving some fuel to them at this juncture, even if it is challenge fuel. So that's not going to happen immediately. So we will see where that goes to in the future. I'd rather concentrate on more well-known individuals than other people running YouTube channels, to be frank. You're knitting it because you like the preppy look. Hark at you, fashionista. Precious Goji, HG, you're very funny. I'm glad that you find me funny. Do you mean funny ha-ha? Do you think I'm some kind of clown, some kind of entertainer? I'll go Joe Pesky on your ass. Sweet as perfection. Ha 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 ha. Leave me alone. No, you're in my live chat. That means you're game to be addressed. You love the attention anyway, you tart. Eleanor, how long do you think your legacy will live on? 256 years. Giulietta Puzzoli. Help. I'm falling in love with H.G. Tudor's voice. What should I do? There is no other fate than the one that you should accept. Just give yourself willingly to the voice. Let it wrap around you. Let it encompass you. Let it pour within your ears. Let it soothe your fevered brow. Let it make your life become so much better. Live of Daydream. I daydream on trains a lot. Well, at least you're being faithful to your name, I suppose. But it's a bit of a fucking liberty to take when you're the train driver. Think about all the people that you keep killing as a consequence of not concentrating and hitting the red button on time. Rosalie, do you believe graders have a classification of people similar to yours? Yes, they will do. They won't necessarily do it as forensically as I do because they're not interested in the dissemination of information in the way that I have done. But they will classify people. They might do it in quite a haughty way. So, for instance, they might refer to people who are tertiary sources as epsilon semi-morons. They may have different classifications for different types of narcissists that they know about. Orinoco Wellington has made a donation. Much appreciated. When I crack open the dirts, I will raise a toast to you, Orinoco Wellington. I will say your name in a centaurian way, and you'll feel a little shiver of excitement through you, and you'll realize that is because the eminent and great H.G. Tudor has just said your name. Thank you for your donation. Meridian 333. Personality disorders are nothing more than parasitic attachments and demon possession. They're not. I can tell you now that no demon has ever entered my anus. SS, has anyone surprised you being a narcissist after you chatted them up for 15 minutes and first thought they weren't? No. Number 89 Lan. HG, do you see people with empathy as weak? Yes, from my perspective, they are. I know people won't agree with me, but that's understandable. But they are because of their propensity to being caught by my type, my kind. Bianca Mayer, are you now a perfume salesperson? Is that what's going on here? JAT HG, have you tried 60 seconds on a topic without hesitation, repetition, or deviation? Yes, I have done so with my friends, and I am pretty successful at it, I would say. Jay Harrison HG, I'm fairly convinced that therapists over medicate people. Did your therapist ever try to medicate you? Not a fucking chance would they go there. I think they realized that we were better than to do that. And I am not taking any pills. Don't need them. Andrew Green, does a narc have any moral or ethical problem with murder or rape or anything similar if it suits their interests and has no consequences? They wouldn't have any moral or ethical problem with them because we're morally bereft and ethically bankrupt. Certain narcissists won't go down that route because of the potential repercussions that arise from it. And therefore, for instance, facade management or potential threats to control don't go down that route. And there are alternatives. But as a proposition, a narcissist has no moral or ethical problem with murder or rape. They might say that they have to somebody else as part of facade management, but when it comes down to brass tacks, we don't. Have I ever considered either personally? I've not considered raping somebody. I never need to do that. People submit to me willingly, and I have other means of asserting control over them without straying into that criminal realm. With regard to murder, well, as I've explained previously, I have disincentivized individuals. So it's not only the contemplation of it, but there was the execution of it also. SS, will you analyze the recorded conversations with Amber and Johnny? Way ahead of you. Did it months ago. If not, I think I did it over a year ago. Actually, you'll find it in the knowledge vault. Do keep up. Sue Erting, in what category for the Nobel Prize shall we nominate you? Why don't you suggest to me which category you think I should be nominated in, and I'll tell you whether I approve or not. Dendribus, there's an individual on Quora, Rose Madder, notice the surname there, it's quite instructive, who claims to be one of your exes. She's not. She provides many details about you, among them that you're overweight. I'm not. Short. No, I'm 6'1", and blonde. Yes, I am blonde. No, it's not true. She's a fantasist and an arsehole, and I've seen what she's written, and it's quite frankly ridiculous. But Rose, if you happen to be listening, do feel free to send me an email, and then what we can do is I will come and find you, and then you will learn how different I am to what you've portrayed. You'll also realize that you've never met me in your life, and also I will be the last person that you will ever meet. Bernie Kennedy. Oh, always professional. Yes, indeed. Emilia Galotti. Hi, HG. Hello, Emilia. Sorry if this question was already asked. Could you explain how a relationship between two narcissists goes? Well, it's an expansive question and a fair one, but it all depends upon the types of sub-schools that you're dealing with. So there's various different combinations and outcomes, you see. I'd recommend that you start by listening to the two videos, When Narcissists Collide, part 1 and part 2. That'll give you a flavor for some of the interactions, and you'll find help. Andrew Green, HG, why did you seek out mental health professional help? Most narcs do not do this. Well, many actually do as part of asserting control over the person that's complaining about their behavior, particularly mid-range narcissists. I did so because it was an attempt by my family to assert control over me, and therefore by volunteering to do it, it meant that I nullified their threat to control. I did it to ensure that I would not lose my inheritance. I did it also to avoid particular criminal and regulatory investigations, which would have led nowhere, but I didn't want the prying noses in my business. Moreover, I did it because I wanted access to certain information appertaining to the grand design, and I laid my hands on that information. So I did it because it suited me. I did it to deal with the issue of control. I draw fuel from it, but that wasn't the prime mover, and the main thing behind it was the residual benefits. Kaufrau, happy to be here live. Happy to have you here. Gianna Vasil, someone said HG is Justin Armstrong from Tech Train. I don't know who that person is, but all I can assume is he must have a goddamn good voice. Rosalie, who do you look down on more, Empaths or mid-rangers? Probably mid-rangers, because at least empaths are honest about who they are, whereas mid-rangers are just those mealy-mouthed, shriveled-up, worn-up, bald wankers, aren't they? SS, what do you think about that radiologist that found out that he's a psychopath after analysing his brain scan? Yes, I've read about that, and it seems fair enough that he was actually looking at the brain scan and determined that this was the brain of a psychopath, and then realised actually it was his, didn't he? Robert somebody, I think he was called, and it's quite interesting. I recall his family saying about him that they always realised that he was a bit self-absorbed and distant from them and a bit cold, but he didn't cause any major issues for them. So it's interesting the way that that happens. As I mentioned earlier on, my brain hasn't been scanned. No need to do so, but I might look at doing that one day and conveying the results of it. There won't be any particular surprises other than it'll just be the confirmation of what a beautiful brain. The brain scan person will probably be overcome with excitement to be seeing such a well-formed and brilliantly operating machine-like brain. Lilith of Daydream, Nobel Prize for Economics. Why? Dream Dancer, Evening HG, have you analysed Jacob Rees-Mogg, Minister for the 18th century? No, not. I have not done so. Bianca Mayer, HG, perfume is only one from my very much interests. I'm not sure that you've written that correctly, but I think perhaps you meant it's only one of your numerous interests that you have. Well, there we are. This isn't your CV, though. You don't need to tell me about all of your hobbies, but I'm sure they're very interesting. Sue Erting, Nobel Prize Literature or Peace. Literature seems to be a good one, doesn't it? Yeah. Peace. Well, I do bring peace to people's lives in terms of allowing them to achieve freedom. So there is that. But I do create chaos in other instances. So I think literature is probably the apt one. Good idea. Robin Kennedy, HG, where can I go in the Knowledge Vault to learn about You Killed Someone? Well, I haven't covered those specifically, but if you want to understand the run up to that, you need to embrace the Knowing HG series, parts 1 to 9. Jocko's Inklings, thank you for your donation. That bottle of dirts creeps ever so more slowly towards the ultra. Thank you. Which empathic weasels, school cadres, are tricky to classify? Lookalikes, chameleons. Which hybrids express narcissistic traits the most? Empaths aren't particularly tricky to classify. I'm always able to do so. With the hybrids, which express narcissistic traits the most, well, you'll see that in both codependents and super empaths. Lilith of Daydream, James Fallon, thank you. That's right. That's the chap. Kira B, agree about mid-ranges, but I only really know about mid-ranges at the moment. Well, you can expand your knowledge by going to the Knowledge Vault and obtaining the HG Mall series and learn more about the others. Cooley, hello HG, great analysis about Harry's latest interview. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed that. Dendritibus, even when dealing with serious challenge food, i.e. Rose Madder, HG proves to be the ultra among ultras. Chapeau, you never disappoint. Thank you very much. Andrew Green, HG, you replied regarding the murder question. You said you disincentivized it. You replied it's not the only contemplation of it, but also the execution. How can you get away with murder? Well, what you have to understand is that I may not have murdered anybody. Think it through. Heather Hawkins, when I see mutual acquaintances of my adult narc daughter, what should I say when they ask about my daughter? All you need to do is either say, oh, I believe she's doing well, thank you very much, and then change the topic as into, whew, a little bit cold today, isn't it? Remarkably inclement. Or you could just say to them, I'm not in contact with her anymore, and I'd appreciate it in the future, perhaps if you wouldn't bring her up. You can say it in a polite manner to allow people to know that they aren't to brook that topic of conversation with you. And most people will accept that. You might get the odd nosy bastard who go, oh, why? To which you can take them by the nose, twist it, and say, mind your own fucking business. But the point is, you can enforce that boundary with that individual, unless, of course, they're a narcissist, but assuming that the friends of the mutual acquaintances aren't narcissists, if you politely explain, we're not in contact with one another for reasons I'd rather not go into, and it would help me if you didn't bring up her name or ask me about her, they'll most likely go along with that. Or if you don't feel that you can do that, then just say, "Oh, I believe she's doing well," give some anodyne answer, and then move on to something else. Or go, "Mustache, HG has a live stream starting. Got to get to that. Toodle pip, see you around." Sweet as Perfection, Nobel Prize for Interdisciplinary Multigenius. That's actually written on my bedroom door. Sophie Topham, channel very interesting, HG. Are narcissists more attracted to someone's appearance or control or fuel? If you want to know what we're attracted to, read Sitting Target. Skylark, they'd love your brain scans. Of course they'd be excited. Yes, they would. They'd be there going, hubba, hubba, woof, woof. Jay Harrison, HG, what prompted your family to recommend therapy? Well, my sister and my brother did it because they actually care, because they're empathic. My uncle and my mother did it because they wanted to assert control over me, because they are narcissists. Rosemary Ann, HG, please answer my question. We are so worried about my son. I don't see your question. It's probably lost amongst all of the letters and words that's scrolling down my screen. If you have something that you want my specific help on, Rosemary, book a consultation so that I can help you in detail. That's what it's there. I'm not saying that to fob you off, but I recognize that these are important matters for you. And the idea of these live chats is to me to get through as many questions as I can and to have a bit of fun and entertain people at the same time. And for the more heavyweight stuff, that's what the consultations are for, so I can do what is obviously a very important matter for you, the appropriate justice that it deserves. Cooley, I'm so grateful for all your knowledge about narcs. So you should be. SS, what do you say to a narcissist when he asks you if he's a narcissist? You say nothing. You walk away and impose no contact. Dream Dancer, I find you attractive. Does that mean I'm not cured yet? No, you're just flesh and blood. Lilith and Daydream, have you ever heard of author Robert Greene and his book 48 Laws of Power? I have heard of it. I haven't read it, so I can't pass any more opinion on it than that. Andrew Green, HG, you say narcs don't have low self-esteem. I do. My narc ex would often compare herself to shit. Her words. Yes, that's because she's doing it to assert control over you by way of pity play. But she doesn't actually think she's got low self-esteem. Her narcissism utilizes the appearance of low self-esteem to assert control over you. But if she was sat in a room on her own, as the sky turns azure and the sun sets on another day, she would not sit there going, I'm like shit, I'm useless, because her narcissism wouldn't let her do that. CJK, hi HG, happy you're doing live to connect with us. You're very welcome. But I'm connecting you to me, remember. That's how it works. Tina Styles, why aren't you all hitting the like button? Indeed, why aren't you all hitting the like button? It's below 100. That's quite simply unacceptable. And I am now not going to answer any further questions until that like counter pops up. There we are, 95. That's better. We're now going to take a short commercial break. 106, you bastards. You did that too quick. Okay. Actually, it needs to get up to at least 120. Otherwise, this commercial break is going to continue. You fucking rascals. 119. There's a standoff. Mexican stand. There we are. You did it. Well done. Okay. Right. Where are we? Tina got that moving. Jen Burns. I'm enjoying the Jada series. Glad that you are. Which surprised you. Why? Still, my favorite piece is still the final battle I purchased last year. Good for you. An excellent piece of material that you can apply to assist yourself to an extensive degree. Amy Williams, if a friend is a narcissist and put you on the shelf, do you ignore back or act like you don't care? Well, with the friend, if they're causing you a problem, once you know, you go. Implement no contact, go and find a different friend. You don't need that narcissist in your life if that's the way that their friendship works. Tell them to get fucked. Well, actually, don't tell them to get fucked. Do it through a no contact regime. Rosalie, it would be great if you put an individual under the Tudoscope who is narcissistic but not a narcissist. Watch this space is all I will say. Where are we now? Rosemary Ann, I will do so. Thank you. You're most welcome. I look forward to helping you. Brandon Joyner, how do you feel about, there's that word, you know you shouldn't be using it around me. It's very naughty. Mid-range, behave in a covert fashion, so do graters. I don't like the term covert narcs. Let's banish it. Let's use the proper taxonomy, my words. Kira B is obediently going to the knowledge vault. Yes, we can hear her now. walking along that obsidian corridor, making a way to the minion that stood waiting there, that turns the great big golden wheel, opening up the knowledge vault. Silently, the thick, huge door opens up, and there, da, a selection of amazing assistance packages, logic bulletins, books, and more material besides sits there waiting for Kira B. What will she choose? What will she put in her basket of knowledge? No shoplifting, mind. The Ultra will find you. SS, are you trying to make empaths act like normals by telling them they should not think about the narcissist in their lives so much? No, I'm trying to make you realize that it's not logical to continue to interact with the narcissist. I appreciate what you're saying. In effect, normals aren't as preoccupied because they don't have the addiction. What I'm trying to get you to do is manage your addiction in a way that you drive down the impact of it through the implementation of a no contact regime and then keeping it in place to starve your emotional thinking. So you start to make better logical decisions. Gioletta Pasoli, this shit is so convoluted. I'm very sorry to hear that you're on the toilet and having a convoluted shit. Might I suggest adding more fiber to your diet, which would help with your bowel motions, or maybe just a good curry to have a copious evacuation? I wish you well, becoming unconvoluted. Joy Always, hey HG, I came back. Hadn't noticed that you'd gone. You don't need to, by the way, announce your arrival or departure. You're not an airport. Sophia Elliott, you previously mentioned a product in the Knowledge Vault where we can name 10 famous people and you list their schools and cadres. Yes. Can you please name it again? I had a hard time finding it. It's called. Did you get that? Okay, I'll say it again. It's called. Okay, got it? No? Okay, one more time. When it comes to the narcissist, you want know the narcissist. If you want to understand the empath, it's show me the empath. If you're still struggling, email me at narcissist1909@gmail.com. And at some point over the next day or so, I will find time to reply to you and tell you, and perhaps even provide you with a link, because I'm jolly decent like that. I'm sure you'll find it now. Kaufrau, thank you for the reminder about the like button. We were simply hypnotized by the voice. Yes, a bit more blame shifting going on there, Kaufrau. What's this from Andrew Mueller? What's he got to say? My narc ex would say, I'll chew you up and spit you out. And did he say, I'll huff and I'll pluff and I'll blow your house down? The night of our engagement, she just kept saying, you're fucked. So fucked. 2 months later, disengaged. Is she a self-aware narc? I can't tell you specifically from that instance. I would need more information, but if assuming she's a narcissist, she's not a self-aware one coming out with comments like that. Just because she says you're fucked doesn't mean she knows what she is. It just simply means that she's being aggressive towards you, and her narcissism may be allowing her to do that for the purposes of assertion of control over you. See more truth. What would you recommend doing to prevent a child from becoming a narcissist whose father is a narcissist? Well, you might get away with it because the genetic predisposition might not have been passed on, but you don't know for certain. So what you would need to do is utilize your good offices to ensure that a lack of control environment doesn't exist and you shield the child from that. Orinoco Wellington, change number. Okay, I was going to have a number 7. I'll have a number 22 instead. Lilith of Daydream, Nobel Prize for Economics, because you understand demand and use logic. Thank you. That's a good explanation. I think I'll still go with literature, though, notwithstanding that good explanation. Maybe I could have both literature and economics. Yes. Andrew Green, have you ever tried having a relationship with a narcissist? Yes, it's called my mother. Do you mean an intimate one? I never take them as an intimate partner primary source, I've explained elsewhere, but I have knocked their hip outs as intimate partner secondary sources. Rosalie HD, how much do I need to know about a person in order to run them through the narc detector? It's comprehensive in terms of the questions. Sometimes all of them are relevant, sometimes a handful are not, but that still gives me enough material. If it's somebody that basically you've been spying on from your apartment block on a nightly basis, you still might have enough information there because you've got all of their movements jotted down in that little red notebook by the side of your bed. But If it's someone that you know fleetingly, you might not have the appropriate information. But if you have if you've got sufficient concerns that you're dealing with a narcissist, that tends to suggest you probably have enough information to put them through the narc detector. That's the sort of litmus test one would apply. JAT, Nobel Prize for Enlightenment. Fucking A. MB, are you ticklish, HG? No. Your fingers would just rest upon the coldness of my granite-like exterior. Fav, HG, what would your advice be if one should encounter their MMRX at a music concert? Lose them in the mosh pit. They are passive aggressive. They daren't go in there, and you'll be able to no contact them. Dendribus, are there schools and cadres with normals? No. Rebecca, my no contact is going well. Thanks, HG. You're most welcome. Funky Rooster. Funky Rooster. Oh, yeah. HG, my girlfriend's mother, parentified her from age 7 until age 49 when she, the mother, died. Is this indicative or determinative for her mother being a narcissist? It's a very strong indicator. 4, has a narcissist ever purchased an empath detector? Yes. And what did you do? I processed it and then provided them with the result. Andrew Green, HG, do you find the research you do on narcissists and empaths fascinating? I do. And I actually undertake extensive research that's done in a more sort of thesis way, but I don't present it as such because that would make it, and it's not to insult anybody's intelligence, but it would make it more turgid for people to wade through it. The point of all of this is that I take the extensive research that I do through my own observed experiences over many, many years, and I utilize it and convey it to you in a manner that aids your understanding. And that's the way that it's done. So there's actually a substantial body of work that backs up what I tell you, but I don't need to go into that detail. There'll be some people who say, oh, you're not a doctor of narcology. Therefore, how do we know what you say is accurate? Just read the work. It resonates. It works. It's effective. I don't need to tell you this. Just embrace it. Give it an opportunity. Don't go to a knee-jerk reaction. Embrace it properly. Go to the evidence. Apply it. Read it. Listen to it. And you'll see it all makes sense. Every single person that embraces my work and applies it realizes how damn useful it is. And it really helps them. Quite simply, my work works. Knitting Droid, HG, the narcissist will always devalue, ? Not always, it depends, but most will. I thought my stepfather might be one, but he never devalued my mother. Well, you might not be party to the devaluing behaviors that he engages in. For instance, he might have been behaving like a dog with 6 dicks behind her back, but she never knew about it, and nor did you. That's devaluing behavior. Cyprian Volsaban. What a regal name that is. You sound like you're a count in some sort of southeastern European country. Hi, HG. I'd really like to know if there's a similar event as Empath Supernova for your kind. Not really. We have the ignition of fury. SS, how many intimate partner secondary sources do you have at the moment? Hang on. Let me go and check. I'll just have to go over to the other computer for this. It's still number crunching. As at Friday, the 22nd of April at midnight, the number of IPSSs registered to one HG Tudor stands at 15. There we are. Of course, they're on the shelf. No 89 LAN. Do normals have the addiction to the narcissist? That's negative. Is life HG? Do you think I am a narcissist based on my comments here? Oh, absolutely. You're a complete narc. You're damned. You're going to hell. No, I haven't been analyzing your comments to make any determination. Put yourself through the empath detector. Rosalie, what subschool of greater is bumbling Boris? Use Know the Narcissist. That's what it's there for. Research futures, environment. Teach the child while they are young and neuroplastic right and wrong. Indeed. SS, is your IPPS from England? No. When will her devaluation begin? Might have started already. Will she escape? Course not. Sophia Elliott, if the masses start looking at your analysis when electing politicians, the Nobel Peace Prize. Fair observation. Kingston, do your subscribers realize they're all attracted and fascinated with you because they're still codependent? No. They're not codependent. Some people are codependent, but many of them are not. They have a fascination with me because, yes, there'll be those that are drawn to me because of their addiction. I'm a narcissistic psychopath, they're empathic. But there are other people that are just drawn to me because I'm very interesting. And it's a little bit like observing some exotic and dangerous beast, but from the safety of being behind toughened glass. Many of the people that express their desires and interest in me would run a mile from me if they knew it was me in real life. Quite simply, they can behave this way because they feel safe, because there are thousands of miles between me and them, although that's what they think. I'm actually looking in their study window now, and turn around, I can see you. But they feel safe, and they express a huge amount of gratitude because my work saves lives and saves livelihoods. It saves people's minds. And so some of the sort of fan behavior that you exhibit is just born out of gratitude. But you're right to an extent. Part of it is the inexorable draw of the empath to the narcissistic psychopath, but it isn't just born out of codependency. And that's fair enough. Sol, no SS, she's from Wales. You're talking about the IPPS. Shirley from the Valleys. Rene Urbe, Kingston, not everyone is codependent. Entirely correct. Sweet as perfection. Literature would be too much to resist. Better economics. Well, I'm taking both, as I told you, so we've resolved that matter. Mary Kelly, when you love bomb, are you sincere? Naturally. Take it very seriously. Rene Urbe, people are here to learn. Indeed, they are. Knitting Droid, how do we know what he says is accurate? For the reason of it takes one to know one. Indeed, that's right. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating, of course. Shelley Ann, yes, I finally caught a live. Thanks, HG. Yes, just about to finish it as well. Janie come lately, hey? Orinoco Wellington, I'm safe because no one knows I'm... Ooh, cliffhanger there. Who are you? Louis Spence? JAT, I used to attracted to a narcissist for his humor. I always felt like I was a high in his company. Indeed, some of our kind are extremely personable, amusing, and entertaining. We have to be. That's part of the way that we draw you in. Ah, Orinoco Wellington, you're in the Chatham Weatherspoons. In the Spoons, in the Star Wars bar, huh? The guy next door. Actually, HG is in fact related to vampire like Count. Don't you guys know? He's sitting with a dictaphone in a dungeon in some remote castle somewhere. Talk to you guys now. How do you know all of that? You've been stalking me again. Robin Kennedy, if I get the addiction triple package, is it audio or written? It's audio, so I can pack in more information for you at a lower cost. Patan, I think I'm normal unless you reply to my empath detector and tell me otherwise, but I'm fascinated by you, HG, and intrigued. Well, that's understandable. Whether you're normal or empath, you'd be fascinated and intrigued by me because I'm intriguing and both fascinating. It's quite simple, really, isn't it? Rosalie, I wouldn't be so sure that your fans would run a mile from you. There are people who write love letters to serial killers, you know. Yes, I get that. What I mean is that there'll be some that will run a mile, that they give the big un. But if they were to actually meet me and see that steely-eyed dealer of death stare that I have, they would wet themselves. There were the others, of course, that would throw their panties at me and run towards me. DD Infinity. Would you heal your narcissism if it were possible? No. Perfectly effective as I am. Amy Williams. When I was single, I used to love being love bombed. Most people do. Amy Williams. I didn't know what a narcissist was, by the way. Well, you do now. Gioletta Puzzoli. HG, I have an equal amount of narc and empath traits, or would it seem from what I've learned from you? I also seduce, but I don't like to hurt. Is this possible? It is, but I would recommend that you put yourself through the empath detector and the trait detector so we can find out whether you do have an equal amount of narc and empath traits, or you might be surprised. Andrew Green, HG, you said your mother was a narcissist. How do you feel about your mother today? Same as always. She's a despicable human being. If you don't mind me asking, how did your mother devalue you? How long have you got? Why don't you listen to Love is a Talk Construct? And that'll start to give you a flavor of what went on. I will, of course, be detailing all of this in the work that I've been working on for some time, which has the provisional working title of Little Boy Lost, the creation of a narcissistic psychopath, which details the abuses that she subjected to me. But chiefly the way that I was devalued, not going into the specifics as that would take too long, but I was subjected to physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, and also in terms of being left to fend with regard to certain matters, even though as a young boy, and always told that I could have done better, notwithstanding my significant achievements. I've always been a high achiever, but it's what's called grade B syndrome. Score 2 girls, why didn't you score 3? Climb that hill, there's another hill behind it that needs to be climbed, and so on and so forth. SS, do you think empaths are more likely to be more intelligent than normals because of their truth seeker trait? No, not necessarily so. Karen S.J. Clark, maybe I am weird, but I'd actually like to meet Mr. H.G. Sir. It's not weird at all. It's entirely understandable. But whether you'd want to hang around, well, that's another matter. Orinoco Wellington, your mother is a narcissist. Okay. JT, thanks, HG. Very enjoyable live. You're very welcome. Pleased that you enjoyed it. Quap, have you ever had an intimate partner who was a hard nut to crack for you in terms of devaluation? No. Guy next door. The problem I have now is that I get bored when there's no love bombing, when things move slowly. Is there anything you would suggest doing to be more patient? Well, this is a common problem that when you're away from the narcissist, your addiction makes life seem very slow. It's like being a crystal meth addict, that when you stop taking that drug, life seems very slow and boring. But it's only a perception. I'm able to provide you with a range of techniques that will help you cultivate that patience and provide you with mechanisms to get through it. And I suggest that you arrange an audio consultation with me so that I can go into the appropriate detail for you. Tina Stiles, let us know when you finish that book, Little Boy Lost, so we can buy it. Funny enough, I will announce that. Indeed, I might just end up sticking a copy through your letterbox. No, that isn't a euphemism. SS, is Elon Musk a greater narcissist? You need to use Know the Narcissist, as I've explained to you. DD Infinity, I'm researching narcissism via astrological chart indicators. Would you be willing to discuss at some point? Thank you for the offer, but it's not something that I see as pertinent to what I do. But if you wish to do so, I wish you well with your endeavors. Lilith of Daydream, Little Girl Lost is a good Chris Christopherson song. Bully for Chris Christopherson. Great for him. I'm sure that he's absolutely delighted by that. Well, Madam Time indicates to me that I must be about other matters. I have a number of things that I must do before I turn in and hit the off switch at the back of my neck and fall into slumber. Thank you very much for joining me in this impromptu live stream. I'm pleased that also you've enjoyed the much better comms that have occurred this evening. It only needs for me to say this final thing. I'm H.G. Tudor. I'm the Ultra, and thank you for listening.